Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Jeez, it's one of those mornings. Everything is nice and busy, and really happy to be back this morning. Thank you very much for joining me. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about business models. We've spoken about value propositions before, but today I'm going to be discussing business models because the value proposition obviously fits smack bang in the middle of that. And yeah, looking forward to discussing that with you. Yesterday we had Sandro Forte. What a morning! What feedback we've gotten. People have been really thank you. So just from my side to Sandro again, thank you so much for taking the time to spend it with us and share with us, some very valuable practical insights into the things that we should be focusing on and could be doing during this time in order to build great relationships, but also to take our businesses forward and come out the other side, in one piece. So yeah, thank you very much, Sandra, for that. I will still send out the all of the documents and the scripts and things that we spoke about. We are in the process of just getting everything together. As soon as I have clarity on everything, I will definitely let you know, and we will send it out. I've had numerous people send me messages and asking for, where can they get the scripts and where can they get this and where can they get that. So I'm just clarifying a few things, and they've already sent some information through. As soon as everything is done, I will let you know. Great stuff. So before I get into the whole business model and greet everybody, I just want to quickly share with you that tomorrow we will have Douglas Krueger on the show. So very happy to have Douglas here as well. You may know him very well. He's written 8 books, and his latest one is Virus Proof Your Small Business, and how to get through COVID if you've got a small business. So 50 ways. He wrote it in a week. Fantastic. So that book has been released, and we're going to be talking about that. But also we will be discussing how to position yourself as an expert and how to leverage all of that in order to get ahead. So really looking forward to spending some time with Douglas tomorrow. I don't know if you've ever heard him speak. He's got this big voice, and I've got one particular question I want to ask him, but I will leave that for tomorrow. And I don't know if you've ever heard him speak. I've been privileged to hear him speak a couple of times. And really a phenomenal guy. So really looking forward to having him. Nice to have a South African on the show again. We've had quite a number of international people on. And then for next week, I've also got a phenomenal guest, which I will announce later on. And then also some interesting things that's going to happen. So yeah, really, really happy about that. Okay, cool. Thanks. So that's the woman who's going to cut my hair, my wife, because all of you voted yesterday to say yes, she must cut your hair. And some people will say, well, depending on how you treated her, you may allow it, you may not. So yeah, I guess we'll do it. There was also a suggestion that we do it live on the show. I don't think I'll do that because I don't know how long it's going to take. And it might get boring just watching my hair being cut, but we will film it. I'm going to film it, and then maybe we'll release it on the YouTube channel for you to have a look. All right, so that is Douglas Krueger on tomorrow. Let me quickly see who is here this morning. Good morning, Kobus, first in the house. Yes, Kobus is also saying that, looking forward to tomorrow, and that yesterday we had so many pearls of wisdom. So really, really awesome. Good morning, Raymond, Casper, Denise, Terence, good morning. Neil Strydom, welcome, 377. Yes, we're on 377. Yesterday we had a huge number of people subscribe as well as connect with me on LinkedIn. So thank you very much for every single person that decided to do that. I genuinely appreciate it. Good morning, Almin. Nice to have you here as well. Thank you very much for your message yesterday. I appreciate it. Douglas, been a while. Good morning. Nice to see you here. Grant also, thank you for connecting with me recently. I appreciate it. Then we've got Shlanga, Nani, and Kevin, and Ian, and Yaku, and Gary. Gary Walker, good morning. Welcome. Over on my friends here on LinkedIn, we've got Renata first in there. Good morning, Renata. Renata was on the SME show with us yesterday, and we were talking about trusts, and it was quite an interesting show, and look forward to expand more on that topic in the SME show, which is a show aimed at business owners, but we had mostly financial advisors in there yesterday. So interesting. Salome, good morning. Mark from Australia, good morning, Mark. Stefan Mattia, Nico Ackerman. Nico, baie welkom. Grant Bronwyn, and Justin Dixon. Justin, I think it's the first time I've seen you say hello. Good morning. Thank you very much for doing so. I appreciate it. All right, so let's get into today's session. Today, as I said, I want to talk about business models. I think it's important to understand, when we talk about that, what are we actually talking about, and why are these things all important? Well, if I must define what I believe a business model is in my own little way, it's sort of a map of your business. I just want to make sure I'm putting off, so the things on the screen here. And please, while you are here, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. If you're over on LinkedIn watching this, please consider connecting with me, or at least follow me if you don't want to connect at this point in time. Remember to give us some love and share with everybody, and just like the videos over on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn. And then remember, this is all about the community, so please interact with one another, chat with one another, and build those relationships. It's important. All right, so this is what I want to get to: is what is a business model? And a business model, in my mind, is a map of your business. It is a map of how your business works. It is that, and I think often, and I'm going to ask the question, should you have a business model? Do you have a business model? But often we find ourselves that we just have a default business model where we just start and we do what others are doing, or we do what the industry is doing, or how we're being taught at a particular company, and that's how we run our businesses going forward. But a business model, in my mind, is a very personal, very specific map of your business. It's all the processes and all the systems that makes your business work. It's what enables you to deliver the value. And I'm going to revisit my two models that we've spoken about before in a second. But it's important that we are able to know that, and we need to understand how these things work together. If you look at an engine, which I will completely get lost if I looked at an engine, to be quite honest. But, you look at an engine and there's a lot of moving parts, and every single part has got its job. And you take one of those parts away, that engine is not going to run, or if it runs, it's not going to run for long. So it's extremely important that we understand how these things fit together and how that all enables us to do what we actually want to do, and that is create and deliver value. Because without those two things, we don't have a business. So your business model is really the machine that is driving your business, and hence why I'm using the engine analogy to say, well, this is what makes things happen. This is what the result of all of this is: the money that lands up in your bank account, in your business's bank account, the fact that you can pay your team, the fact that you can service clients and help clients, make a difference. So all of this is based on the business model. But I guess the question becomes, why should I have a business model? So let me share my screen with you. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So why is it important to have this business model? Well, I want to revisit a few things quickly before I get into exactly all of the things why I believe a business model, and the reason why you need to understand a business model is so critically important. That a business consists of these 5 things that we've spoken about before. So the first thing is that we must be able to create value. So we must solve a problem. We must help somebody make a decision. We must help people achieve what it is that they want to achieve. And that is sort of what we must be able to do. But we must show that we understand exactly how to do that. So we are able to create value. So we create a solution. We create the outcome that the client is looking for. So that is extremely important. Without that, you don't have a business. Then once you have that, you must go out and tell people about it and say, well, look, this is what we do. So these are the people that we help. These are the problems that we fully understand. And this is the solution that we've built to solve this. And here's the proof that we've been solving these problems extremely successfully. And that is what we do. So that's marketing. Then, once people know, they don't always act. So we always need to go out and be a little bit more intentional and get some clients through selling. So you need to go sell your products and services and your value proposition and get some clients, because if clients don't buy from you, they don't make use of your services, we're not generating any income. And then we need to deliver the value. Once that client has said yes, Now we need to go back and deliver the value that we said that we can create and that we told people about and that we sold to them. Now it's time to deliver that value. So you can see if you miss out on any one of these things, the business is not going to work, or it's not going to work well at all, or it's not going to work for long. So that's very important. So it starts with value creation and it ends with value creation. But then once we deliver that value, usually what happens is we get paid. And there are many different things. And I think also just maybe one step back is that a lot of people consider the way you get paid as the business model. And that's often, it's directly linked to that. But the business model is so much more than that. So a lot of advisors will say, oh, I work on a retainer model, or I work on a per hour model, or I work on commission, or I work on fees, or whatever, So, and we've spoken about charging fees before, or fee models. And fee models are only, and I'm going to show you today, it's only one little part of the business model. There are so many other moving parts that I want to share with you to say, well, these are the things that you need to be thinking about. You need to understand exactly how you are doing that, because that's going to open up a lot of opportunities. And you will see sometimes you move one of those levers and boom, there goes the business. So not boom, like gone. It means just it takes off. Okay. That could be like, if you only came in half the conversation there, you would have gone like, okay, no, this is the wrong place. But anyway, so once you receive that money, obviously financial management becomes extremely important. And we've spoken about this. We've had Johan and Martha on the show as well from ComSpace, where we discussed, what they can do and the things that we should be looking at and why it's important to manage these things, and how you often pick up that, the things that you think you're receiving, you're not receiving, or where you expect a certain amount, you get a totally different amount. And that amount usually is lower than the one that you expected. And often, you don't get paid VAT where you should be paid VAT. So managing finances is extremely important. But the problem is that a lot of financial planners, advisors, accountants, doesn't matter, and even accountants, is like we're so busy doing the work. So in other words, we're so busy delivering the value. We're so busy getting clients. Those are those bottom two there. Okay. So these two over here. So the get clients and the deliver value, that is where we spend most of our time. And that's the focus. So we don't always go back and see how we create value and can we do it better and can we change it. And we sometimes, when we are busy, we stop telling people about what it is that we do. And then also, obviously, the thing that then sort of, because we're so busy getting clients and delivering value, that we don't properly manage finances. And often people will have teams in place, and that makes it obviously better. But when you are a small business, getting to all of these things are really, really hard. So this is extremely, extremely important. And all of these things, you'll see when I share with you obviously we focused a lot on this in terms of creating the value proposition. So the value proposition was really connecting the value that you create to the right client and the products and services you've got to the right client, and how we alleviate pains and create gains and those kind of things, remember? And so from that point of view, but I'm going to show you as well as we move through how all of this comes together in the business model that we need to consider. So just quickly again, because now I just want to show you where I'm going to be focusing on. We spoke about the entrepreneur and sort of the process of the entrepreneur, where you identify an opportunity. And sometimes that opportunity, by the way, is just, wow, you love giving financial advice. Wow, you love doing accounting. Wow, you love working with taxes. And obviously, that there's always a need for those things. But you may then become, you may go more specific and say, well, within that piece, there is an opportunity to just focus on this segment of the market, or just this type of client, or just focus on this type of advice within the bigger scheme of things. So you could niche down, and we've also spoken about that before. But opportunity, comes in different forms. But basically what then happens is they go back to the drawing board, and they go and they make sure that they've got a clear picture of the client and that they fully understand the need or the problem, that there's a clear understanding. Then they come up with a solution. So they craft that solution. And once they've got that solution and they've tested it and they can prove that this thing is working, what they then go and do is they build processes and systems so that they can deliver this solution and the value and sort out the problem consistently. And that is what happens. And then obviously it continues on from there. So this is a process. And this is often, I think, where we go wrong. If I can go back one, is that this is usually, you start off in the business, you move through, okay, you do this and you get an understanding of, and sometimes, okay, there is no clear understanding. So let's also be honest with one another. Like when you start off in this business, it's like, it's survival mode. So you try and do business with as many people as possible. And through that, you sort of figure out the kind of clients that you like to work with or not. It's very, very seldom that somebody will go and sit down and say, this is my dream client. This is what they look like. I'm just going to go after them from day one. Often it's about a case of, you know what, and this is where in my interview with Louis van der Merwe, where he said, you know what, the best thing is for new financial advisors or planners to start off with being paid a salary for as long as possible, because it allows them to build the foundation correctly. And that is so powerful. But, you know, most people come in and they work on commission and they have no income from day one, which makes it so much harder for them. And, you know, if sometimes, you know, the companies that can afford to, if you can bring somebody in and you can carry them for a while, you know, and you make sure that you bring the right people in, we are going to build a much better profession and a much better industry going forward in the long run if we are able to do that. But anyway, so this is usually where we stop. So once we've now, this is what we do and this is how we do it, then we've got our little process and we never go back to review all of this stuff. Whereas if you look at the entire process, it's actually you start all over again. And it may very well be possible that, you know, many entrepreneurs call themselves serial entrepreneurs and they will go like next opportunity, next opportunity, next opportunity. And the other things that they've created are just running on its own. But from my point of view is that what you really should be doing in terms of a financial professional practice is to go back and look at, you know, is the opportunity still the opportunity? You know, do we still fully understand the client? Is our market slowly shifting? And how do we need to adjust? Is our solution still viable? And then is our processes, and these two things are the two things that we spend the least amount of time on once we've got it, because this is how we do things. But anyway, I don't want to get stuck on that slide. But today is going to be about this part, the building the processes to deliver consistently, because that is the business model. All of this is just part of that value creation part. But everything else falls into this build processes to deliver consistently. And that is really the business model. And that is what I want to talk on today. Also, if you look at this model that I've built and to show you sort of the different things that you need to have in place for your business, you're going to see you can take this afterwards and take the tool that I'm going to show you, and you can plug all of these things in there, you know, as you go about, and you'll see that we cover everything actually in this model, and there you can see where it fits into your business model actually. So this is the whole structure. These are all the things that the different layers that you build your business on, but this is actually nothing different than a business model. All right, cool stuff. So yeah, let me just quickly see if there's any questions, guys. If you've got questions, you're more than welcome. Just some more people saying hi. Shahida, Arun, and Khomotso, good morning. Nice to have you with us. I really appreciate it. So we've just spoken about, you know, why have a business model in the first place. And with that, I want to get into what are the actual, you know, components of a business model. And so that is important. And I think, you know, there's a lot of moving parts to this, and sort of some of the reasons why you would want to have this business model, or at least a clear understanding and a clear picture of what your business model looks like, is that, you know what, I think the primary thing is if you have a clear understanding of how this engine of yours works, it's very easy to go and identify where something is not working as optimally as it could. And by making small tweaks and changes, I mean, think about, but I don't know how many of you are familiar with engines and cars and that. I'm not, but I know there's something called a timing belt. And, you know, that timing belt needs to be replaced every now and then. But apart from that is that there is literally sort of a timing thing that is being set so that the engine runs optimally. You know, often you hear your engine makes some funny kind of noise, and that can be a whole host of things that can create that. You know, but if you know nothing about the engine, you don't know where to go and look. And obviously you have to go to someone to come and help you sort that out, which is not really what we always want to do. I think if you're a business owner, or you have your own practice, or you run your business or your practice like it is your own, you know, then we need to fully understand how things work and how they fit together. So it's about where the opportunities are at the end of the day. That's what it's going to help us with. If we know exactly what the business model looks like, here's an opportunity to make it better. There's an opportunity. And through, you know, repeating the process over and over again, you may identify new opportunities that will that will come your way. I think it's very important, if you look at a business model, is that it's all about understanding a few things. Okay, so first of all, how do you connect your value proposition to your client? What is it? What are the different ways that you can deliver your value? So not only connect clients to your value proposition, but how do you deliver the value proposition to those clients? And then you need to understand what is the different ways in which I can earn income from this, because ideally you would want to have multiple income streams. And this is not about passive income or anything like that, but what you want is that there are different areas in your business that brings in different revenue streams. And if I say different areas, it means also that it's areas that are maybe impacted differently by changes in the economy or whatever is going on, so there's this sort of different ways that the money is generated. So, but one would need to understand about what would make sense. Now, here's the thing. When you look at a financial planning practice, a lot of people, when they start talking about business models, they will talk about the fee model. And you can have a retainer, or you can have commission, or you can have assets under management, those kind of things. And that is part of it. But I'm going to show you in a second that that's only a small part of it. It's a very important part, because that's what business is about. But it's only a very small part. It's actually everything else that happens that would generate that revenue. So that's the one part. It's like, how do we take that value, connect it to the client, deliver it to the client, and earn income? That we need to fully understand, and whether that is working optimally or not. Then there's the second part to the business model that we also need to understand, and that is, you need to understand what do you need to be able to deliver the value? Because the one is like, how do I connect them? What am I going to use? What are the things? I'm going to show you what that is exactly. But then there's certain things I need in the back end to make that happen. Because at the end of the day, if you look at a car, I want to be able to drive a car and move from point A to point B, and we need an engine for that and all of that. But behind that, we need somebody to design the car. We needed somebody to make sure the car is safe. We then needed things like somebody to provide petrol and the batteries and all of those kind of things that's maybe needed in the car, and then sometimes, you need some people to help you in how everything works. And then you need to understand the costs. What is it costing us to design this vehicle and to build this vehicle and to deliver this vehicle to the client? And then what is the value to the client, and what can we at the end of the day charge for it? So that's really the business model. And I know, I'm going to show you a picture in a second that's going to help you sort of visualize that in a better way. But I think what is very, very important here is that we truly understand how everything works together. Okay, so let me go back to my slides, and I obviously want to introduce you to, as we've used the business model, the value proposition canvas in our session about creating value. Today, I want to introduce you to the business model canvas, which is the tool that I use in conjunction with that. And it's by Strategizer. So it's available for free. You can go and download. If you go to strategizer.com, all of the stuff I'm sharing with you is available for free there. Obviously, they have books that explain to you how to use this. There's so many tools and things that you can use. And this is really also nice. If you've got a team, this is a very nice exercise to do with your team and go through and see how does your business model work. Because my chances are very well that you are still doing things the same way than when you started 10 years ago or 15 years ago or whenever you started. And you never really put this down in a picture of how this works. In your mind, you've got it, but maybe not on paper. And this is going to help you do exactly that. So this entire model that I'm going to show you is downloadable from their site. There's instructions of how to use it and all of it. And then there's books and courses that you can do for this. And but really an amazing tool. It just brings so much clarity in terms of all of this. All right. So first of all, that is the business model canvas. So you can see basically all the things that I was talking about is all on this canvas. And the nice thing about this canvas is that it is meant to be used with sticky notes. Okay, so obviously you get electronic sticky notes, I guess, which you could also use if you're using in Adobe Reader or something. You could do that. You get applications that can create them virtually, but it's actually meant to use with real life, like to print this out on a big format and then use these sticky notes to put one idea at a time about what all of these things are. So in the value creation one, we basically dealt with a few things. So first, the value proposition sits in the middle because that is at the heart of your business model. Without a value proposition, okay, there is no business model. If you can't create value, then it's not going to work. So that is the first part. But there's this the separate tool, value proposition canvas, that you can use to create your value proposition, understand the client segments, and connect all of that together. So we're not going to go through that. We already spoke about that, but that portion fits in there. So then you have your customer segments, because your business may be, and initially it's very interesting. Like when you start off, you may very well want to focus on a specific client because it makes it easy. You're not well known. You want to focus on those things specifically. And then over time, as you grow and you become more comfortable with everything you're doing, maybe you go from helping professionals, for example, to also helping business owners, and then also to helping, let's say, trustees of trusts to run their trust, etc. So you may have different customer segments within your customer base. And you should have a value proposition for each one of those segments. But this is the thing. So if I go back, there's the value proposition, there's the customer, and we basically need to connect these two to one another. So how do I make the customer aware of my value proposition, and how do I now deliver the value to that customer segment? So we do it through one, customer relationships. So customer relationships, are all about your relationship with clients. And you would have heard me say a lot of the time that relationships are the foundation of any business. That is what it's about. It should be relationships over profit all the time. And that is where you have the opportunity to tell customers about what it is you do for them and how you help them, and to build that trust where you are the preferred provider for them to solve their problems and to help them through that. So this is all about, how do you foster these relationships? What processes and focuses and activities and things do you have in place in order to build very strong customer relationships? So this can be anything from your CRM system, and you phone everybody on their birthday, or all the special things that you do for them. To build that, it's all focused on building the customer relationship between you and the client, obviously. So that is sort of that you need to understand over there, because that is the first way how you link your value proposition to your customer segment. But that is telling them about it. It's making them aware of this. Okay. It could even be part of getting clients. So it could be part of selling to them. But then what we need to understand, how do we deliver the value to them? It's one thing to tell them about it and to sell it to them. It's quite another thing to deliver it to them. And there could now be different channels. Now in our world, as financial planners, you will probably have known that now. Okay, so either, depending on the size of your business, you could have multiple advisors that's delivering advice to these customer segments. You could have a robo-advisor that people can use. You can have some DIY tools on your website. You can do it virtually. You can do it face-to-face. So there are different channels of how you can do this. Maybe you just work in a referral model with a provider, for example. So you make clients aware, you build a relationship with clients, but then you refer it on to them to actually deliver the value and to provide the services that it is that you were selling to these customer segments. And all of that together, obviously, that is the first part of it. So all of this has got to do with the client. How do we create value, deliver the relationships we have, and all of that. And all of this then creates revenue streams. And we need to understand the different things that we're doing for clients. Where is the value exactly? Okay, and I'll have a discussion about that at some stage. But where is the value? Okay, is it a lot of value? Is it a little bit of value? Is there no value? And then how can we charge for that different parts in the process and for that specific value that is being added? We also need to consider the client and where they are and what is important to them. So some clients, if they're younger, probably they may prefer paying 350 Rand a month and then just use the services as and when they want. Other people would want a more permanent relationship kind of thing. Some people would just want to pay you when they use you, that kind of stuff. So we need to understand the different kinds of, needs from the clients or what they want. And then how can we charge for those different things if we understand the value we bring, because value must be a central part of that decision. All right. And it's very interesting, by the way. So in the feedback that I got, this is very interesting. There are some very interesting things that jumped out at me through that survey that we did about the show, and I will still share that with you. I'm busy working on it, But some very interesting things here is that, people are not interested to hear about charging fees and that kind of thing. So even though, we talk a lot about these things and to understand what customers want and where they're going, most advisors, if I look at all the things that you are interested in, charging fees wasn't one of them. Fee models and talking about that, yeah, but even pricing, when I said, well, how do you determine your fees and your prices? Not a lot of interest. So that was very interesting to me, and I want to delve deeper into that. But very, very interesting. So these revenue streams in your world could be commission, assets under management, those kind of things. But it is to understand exactly, and also to say, well, this comes from medical aid, this comes from investments, this comes from risk. So it's also splitting them up in that way and understanding the differences there. So basically what Johan and Martha is doing at ComSpace, I mean, that is really like crucial for that part in my opinion. So that is the one part. So this is the delivering, this is the outward stuff. But then we need to look at the inward stuff and the engine itself and how things are working inside the business. So there we've got key activities, and I'll speak about this in my 7 Habits webinar as well. Like the first thing you should focus on, you as the person that is delivering the value, and if you the biggest money generator in the business, is what are those things that you need to be doing that will generate income. And this is what we need to understand here. So I will start off with what are the key activities that will drive the value proposition, the key activities that will drive customer relationships, the key activities that will make sure that that is distributed in the right way, and the key activities that's going to generate our revenue streams. So we need to understand the key activities very, very well. And this is where you'll see that you're busy keeping yourself busy with nonsense and things that is not creating. It's like it keeps you busy and it makes you feel like you've worked hard. But if you really go deep into it, you're going to see that, probably, not definitely, but probably there are things, and maybe a lot of things for some people, and maybe for some people there's just some things, but you're busy with things that are not generating income. And it's maybe things that should be done. It's important, that papers need to be filed. Can't be laying around in your office, but you shouldn't be doing that. Okay. So those things are extremely important, that you look at what are the key activities, and you need to understand them, and you need to interrogate them, and then go back and see, well, does it really make sense to do this stuff? Should we be doing this? Are there things we're doing that is really unnecessary? So that's part of that. Then, obviously, if you have these key activities, I mean, you can't do things without resources. So you need the resources to be able to deliver, on everything that you've promised. So those can be the staff you need, the team you need. Maybe it's outsourced stuff. Maybe it's the technology. It is anything that you need in order to make this as sleek and as flowing and as flexible and as awesome as possible. So what are the resources? Okay, so obviously it can be money, but it's usually people, technology. It can be certain relationships, etc. But even there, if you go to the next block and we look at key partners, for me, this is strategic relationships. So who are the people that you need to partner with? So these will be your product suppliers if you're in financial planning. If product is a big part of your value proposition and what you do, the right product providers is very important. And maybe, your key partners are those 2 or 3 that you place most of your business with. It's not necessarily all 100 that you've got contracts with. It is those ones that you are particularly have a close relationship with, and that is particularly important to your business. But also outside partners, So it may be, if you're working at a corporate, it may be the different departments that are key partners in your business. If you're on your own, if you're independent, or you're running a business separately, it can be, going into a partnership with an accountant or a lawyer or a tax practitioner or something like that. So those are the key partners. But one would need to go and understand, a lot of people feel like I don't need them, but the fact of the matter is that you do have key partners. And those are often suppliers, or it's people that are giving an input into your business that's going to make a difference. And then lastly, what we need to understand here is obviously the cost structure of all of this. So you can see that the value proposition, and this is why value proposition is in the middle, because there's a cost aspect to value propositions, but there's also a revenue aspect to that. Whereas your key resources, your activities, and your key partners, there's costs involved with that. So we need to understand, our costs, because if we don't understand our cost and what, to drive these activities and have these resources and be in these partnerships, then we're not going to be pricing correctly for the other side. And even if you're earning commission, it's not about that. It can still be that if your costs are too high, it doesn't matter the commission that you're earning, it may not be enough to cover that. So again, this whole base here at the bottom comes back to financial management. So it's extremely, extremely important from my point of view there. Alrighty, so that is, ladies and gentlemen, the business model canvas. So that is the entire thing. Go and have a look at it at strategizer.com. You can download it there, read a bit up about it. There's some nice little short videos on YouTube as well. That's going to help you a lot with that in nice ways where people explain exactly how this works. But this was a very interesting exercise for me about 2 years ago. And I still do it regularly to sort of see, particularly if I want to do something new as well, because you could have a business model for a particular aspect of your business. But obviously, I guess you would want to start off with a business model for your business and understand exactly how you're making your money, and all the things that you're doing and all the things that you have in your business really, really necessary, because you can, but maybe there's some things you can remove and you can reduce your costs through that and maybe even up your revenue. So yeah, so that is my story for today. Let me see if I've got any questions or anything here. I see Johan is smiling at me because I mentioned ComSpace again. Sorry, Johan. Sometimes I do things like that. And let me just quickly view over on LinkedIn whether there is anything that anybody is saying. A lot of people saying morning, Carol. And then Carlene, good morning, Carlene. Nice to have you here. Peter Button, morning, Franch, and everyone else. Sorry to be a bit late. No problem, Peter. Sorry, I'm only saying hi right now. So yeah, so that is the business models. Tomorrow, as I said, we have Douglas Krueger on the show. So really excited to interview Douglas. It's going to be, I promise you, don't miss that. It's going to be awesome. And he is a phenomenal guy. I've heard him speak so many times, and every time I'm taking something away from it. And yeah, so looking forward to that one. So join us tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you very much for being here today. I appreciate it. I hope you got value from this session today. As I said, we're doing a little bit shorter sessions now. But yeah, it is all good stuff. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day and keep safe.